Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today we're going to look at Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is a Beam Suntory product, and it is produced in the Beam distilleries. So it's distilled and bottled by Kentucky Springs Distilling Company, which is a subsidiary of Beam in Claremont and or Frankfort, Kentucky. It is 40% ABV, 80 proof, and is this is a 375, and I got this 375 for $20.97 here in Wyoming. So Basil Hayden's kind of a bit more expensive. It is a high rye mash bill bourbon. The mash bill I could not find specifically for it. It just said that it is a high rye mash. I'm going to say that this is probably, 60% corn and 30% rye, somewhere in that ballpark. They basically took and replaced all the wheat with rye. And due to that, it's going to have a little bit more spice to it. So this might be something that if you're a rye fan, you might actually like. Oddly enough, even though I do like rye whiskeys, I'm not a big fan of the way that the rye presents here in this particular whiskey. But you know what? We'll see what happens here. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I've only had it one other time, and it just didn't trip my trigger. It wasn't really what I was looking for. If I'm going to do rye, I want rye. If I'm going to do a bourbon, I'd rather a regular bourbon. But let's see here. Now on the nose, it's extremely perfumey, floral. A little bit of apple in there, like green apple or pear. Maybe lilac. It's again, I use this a lot, but it's kind of tending towards Buffalo Trace. There's a little bit of burn on the back of my nostrils that leads me to think spice, but I'm not really picking out any spice in there. It's not really black pepper or baking spices or anything like that. Just floral dominates. A little hint of vanilla, third, fourth time I nose it. But mostly floral. Perfumey floral. Now, flavor profile. Perfumey floral forward. Little bit of caramel in the middle. And then it goes into a pretty heavy and hard black pepper spice, followed by a little bit of oak as it's finishing out with just a slight sugary, brown sugar underlaying sweetness. So pretty classic bourbon notes and flavors and profile, but that spice comes through pretty hard. So if you were to take like the Jim Beam rye or the Old Overholt rye and mix that with Jim Beam or Buffalo Trace whiskey, bourbon whiskey, you'd probably end up somewhere in the ballpark of this if you did like a 70-30 ratio of bourbon to rye. So 70% bourbon to like a 30% rye. Mix those together, you'd come up with something pretty similar to this. Now, I started this video by saying I didn't like it originally. In my notes and in my memory of it, I would have to agree with that. But standing here today as I review this, it's actually quite nice. The spice is a little bit more than you would expect from a 40%. From an 80 proof, it definitely has an ethanol burn back of your throat mixed with a heavy black pepper in there, which is different than what I get from the ryes that I'm accustomed to. But that perfumey and light caramel just comes through in the flavor. Pretty strong. That black pepper is dominating this. So when they say rye spice, this is spicier than any of the ryes that I've previously reviewed. there's a kick in there, and it's not ethanol. It's definitely a rye spice. So not sure what variety of rye they're using or how much of it, but it's burning through there pretty good. This drinks like a 90 proof, maybe higher. So it's a pretty hot and intense spice. So if something like that intrigues you or you might be interested in it, I'm going to revoke my previous statement and say I kind of like this. As far as a rye drink goes, I think this one might be an ice drinker. Put it on the rocks and this might go a good number of places. It's a fairly expensive whiskey to experiment with, in my opinion. Now, this is coming from a guy who thinks a $30, $40, $50 bottle of whiskey is very expensive. So, that being said, this is probably going to be about $40, $45, $50 for a 750. But you know what? Feel free to go out and experiment with that if you can. I will give it my endorsement and recommendation. I'd say it's a very nice bourbon, and yeah, hopefully you can find it where you're at, and let me know what you think of it. Please like and subscribe. Share this video with people if you found some value in it, and comment below what you can find a bottle of Basil Hayden's for in your area, and whether or not you like it, what your experience is with it. Maybe I'm off my rocker and it's not as spicy as I think it is, but to me this has a pretty good black pepper kick to it. So there you go. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you got a little bit out of it and you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great day.